Housing costs eat up the biggest chunk of your budget, but with a few easy tweaks, you could save thousands of dollars. When we talk about a bare bones budget, these are items you must pay every single month. You have housing, food, and transportation. But the largest by far of all three of those has to be housing. So today that's what we're tackling. Ways to save on major housing expenses. And we have used all of the strategies that we're about to show you. But first, if you don't know us, I'm Hope.
And I'm Larry.
This is Under the Median, where every week we talk about practical frugality.
Area number one in your housing budget is the mortgage. No doubt that's probably the most expensive thing that you have to pay off. There are a lot of different ways to pay off your mortgage. It's not fixed in stone.
And that's part of the problem is people get their mortgage payments and they just pay them month after month after month, assuming that, okay, in 15 years I'll be mortgage free, in 30 years I'll be mortgage free. Not stopping to consider that there may be ways that they can pay that mortgage off far more quickly. And these are ways that really, honestly, they're not going to super impact your budget. Let's talk about them. But what if your budget is super tight? Well, you need some ways that you're going to free up some extra cash. To do that, you want to grab my free guide to reducing expenses. I'll make sure that I leave a link to it in the video description.
Now let's talk about the three ways that you can use to pay off your mortgage faster. The first way is to simply round up your payment and take the extra amount that you're rounding it up to and put that toward the principal. So if you're paying $1,121 a month on your mortgage and you round it up to $1,200, then you'll be paying $79 extra. That can add up to an extra mortgage payment over a year.
The second way to do it is to make bi-weekly payments. If you take your monthly mortgage payment, divide it in half, and pay every 2 weeks, that means because we have 52 weeks in a year, you actually wind up making one entire extra mortgage payment every single year.
This third method is the one that Hope and I used to pay off our first house, and this worked really good. We would do bulk payments toward the principal. What we would do is gather up about $1,000. As soon as we had an extra $1,000 that we could apply toward the principal, we wrote out a check, we said to the principal, and we sent that off to the bank. We actually paid our house off in 5 years, and we had a 15-year mortgage on it. But now, just to be fair, our house did not cost us a lot of money. This wasn't a real expensive home, so it became real easy to make these payments.
I think for us, the whole thing was this became a written goal that we tracked our progress on.
Yes.
And this was far more effective for us if you are like a little bit competitive and you really find like setting a goal just sort of puts steam behind anything that you're doing and you're like, I'm going to do that. This method might work really, really well for you. There should be a way that you can make extra payments to principal only. If you don't see it, make sure you call whoever is the mortgage holder and say, I want to make extra principal payments. How do I do that? And the second caveat is once you've done it, double check and make sure that they have applied it to principal and not applied that toward future payments, because that doesn't help you at all.
Remember that even applying small payments to that mortgage, or actually to the principal, add up over time, and it will help you cut the cost of your interest on your house.
The whole idea, of course, is to own your home free and clear.
Yes.
Speaking of home ownership, this is a great time for us to thank the sponsor for this video, FlexiSpot. This is our son and his amazing wife. As we mentioned, they just bought their first home and they are very happy. Their house was built in 1950 and they really love the original oak flooring throughout the house. But after a hefty down payment and moving costs, there just wasn't a lot of cash left over for home decor. Thankfully, the new line of rugs from FlexiSpot offers the perfect cost-effective solution. They ordered 3 rugs, which arrived very quickly. The first thing they noticed is that FlexiSpot's rugs weren't stiff. They weren't hard to manage. Each rug comes with a non-slip pad, 8 grippers, and the rug, which, by the way, is machine washable. That's right, even the largest size, and they won't fade or shrink after washing. It was easy to assemble, beginning with the non-slip pad, inserting the grippers in the corners of the pad, and then laying the rug on top. Flex-A-Spot rugs are slip resistant. They're woven to reduce the possibility of runs or snags. They add warmth and color and clearly define the purpose of each area in their new home. These rugs are certified as Standard 100 by OEC Tex. That is the highest possible international benchmark for textiles. It indicates a product has been tested and found free from a comprehensive list of potentially hazardous chemicals. That means the whole family can enjoy spending time together on the new Flex-A-Spot rugs. Check out Flex-A-Spot rugs and use our special discount code RUG10OFF. We'll get you 10% off one rug. But if you're really needing two rugs, make sure that you use RUG15OFF because that will get you 15% off. We put the codes and the link to Flex-A-Spot all the way at the top of the description of this video.
Property taxes is the next housing expense and budget buster. One of the things that you can do to lower your property taxes is to appeal them. We did that when we moved into this house, and it worked very well.
We'll tell you the 4 steps that we used to successfully get our property taxes lowered. Number 1, check for assessment errors. Here's what we found out. First of all, they said that our entire basement was finished. It is not. There are certainly some areas of our basement that are less than finished.
Yeah.
So we had to reduce that square footage to say, no, only this percentage of our basement is finished. The next thing they did was they added a fourth bedroom. We're looking around going, nope, don't see one.
No.
No idea why the property tax rolls thought we had 4 bedrooms. We did not. So we appealed that. But the second step we took was to compare our home to other homes in the area. We found out our home evaluation was higher than any other house in a 2-block area. And that included the homes that actually had a 4th bedroom, whereas apparently they thought we had one and ours was completely missing. So make sure, and this is so easy to do online. You can find out the assessed evaluation of any home that is in your neighborhood. So we gathered that information. The next thing we did was just to compile our paperwork and write out a very concise letter to them that said, here are our areas of concern and here's why we think you should lower our tax assessment and lower our property taxes. The next thing we had to find out is when the deadline was. There's a deadline every single year with your county assessment office in order to have them even consider lowering your property taxes. And sometimes there's a line. So you need to make sure that you get in the queue and you get in the line in time in order to have them consider your case this year. The last thing that is sort of an offshoot is if you are a person of a certain age, if you are 65 or older, you own your own home, you reside in that home, oftentimes there are tax abatements that are allowed for people who are senior citizens who are living at home. When Larry turned 65, we got a little bit off of our taxes. Now, there's also something in some states, not all, that are called homestead exemptions, which means if you're 65, own your own home, live in your own home, and you make below a certain threshold,
yes,
they're going to give you even lower taxes. We are above the threshold, so we don't meet that. But my mother, who owns her own home, is below that threshold. So she gets a significant break now on her taxes. So be sure to check into those exemptions as well. And sometimes if you're disabled, they may also offer you a lower tax base. Area number 3, when it comes to housing, we're hitting all the big ones.
This is a big one too.
Insurance.
Yeah.
House insurance has gone up. Why? Because the cost of replacement parts has gone up and the cost of labor has gone up. Yeah. Therefore, I'm sure that you've seen it. Your housing insurance has gone up. But there are ways that you can sort of deal with that and navigate it to mitigate as much as you can the cost of those rising prices.
The first thing you can do, if you can afford to do this, is to raise your deductible. Mm-hmm. So you can raise it to an amount that you're still comfortable with. If you have an emergency, you could pay that amount.
The second thing you can do is ask about discounts. They don't necessarily tell you about them. And we're bringing this up because we literally just went through this recently with our house insurance.
Yeah.
So we're telling you the steps that we took once again. We changed insurances for our house and our car, which, by the way, is another tip, is to make sure that you bundle those two things together, house and car.
Yes.
Because that will get you sometimes a 10, maybe even a 15% discount. It just depends on what they offer. We changed to a new company, and I really carefully read over what was covered. You need to actually read the policy, guys. They had all kinds of stuff they automatically put on there now, assuming that everybody has these things or needs this covered. High cost jewelry.
We don't have it.
Up to $10,000. And I was like, well,
She doesn't have any high-cost jewelry.
I have no high cost jewelry.
Not
It
at all.
doesn't exist.
No.
So I made a list and I called the insurance company, and be concise. The agents, respect them and their time, and say, I can email you a list of my concerns. You can go through them one by one, or you can go with them quickly over the phone, which is what we wound up doing.
Another area that's really good at helping you cut some costs is having a security system discount. And a lot of people think this includes a security system that monitors your home and protects it in case of a break-in, but that isn't necessarily the case. It might be just something like a deadbolt lock.
Be sure to call them and say, what do I need to have in place in order to get this discount? It could be really simple. For instance, they gave us a discount. We have 2 full kitchens. I've talked about it on the videos, and some people have questioned it. The basement kitchen was here when we bought the house.
It came that way.
It came that way.
Yeah.
It was a summer kitchen, so that's why we have 2 full kitchens. The company asked us when we moved in, do you have any fire extinguishers? And we said, well, what specifically do we need to have as far as fire extinguishers? They told us like the most basic fire extinguisher we need to have in place in both kitchens in order to get a kitchen safety type discount. I don't know what they called it, but ask about that sort of thing in order to get that discount.
Loyalty and claim-free discounts also apply. So if you've been with a company for a long time and you've had no claims, that can also get you a discount.
We got this. This was kind of more of a new customer discount when we moved in. They gave us a break on our homeowner's insurance. It was quite a nice discount for the first year, and they slowly, incrementally went up over 5 years to the full amount. But it did allow us, when we first moved into the house, to have some nice discounts on that area for the first few years.
Don't insure what you don't need. We found in our policy that we were having things covered that we just didn't need. They didn't apply to our situation. So once we cut those off, it did reduce the amount that we had to pay.
The other tip is to make sure that you're paying your homeowner's insurance annually. I don't even know that there's a way to pay your insurance not annually when it's on a home. You can pay car insurance monthly, but anytime you can take an insurance payment and say, I don't want to pay it monthly, I don't want to pay it quarterly, I don't want to pay it semi-annually. If you pay annually, you do tend to get like an 8 to 10% discount. We did this on our insurances, and it did drop some of them. The homeowner's insurance, it's yearly anyway, but something to think about and check into if you're paying that insurance monthly instead of annually.
Shop around and negotiate. Those are always 2 good ways to reduce the rates that you have to pay. Other companies have lower rates, but yet they have the same coverage that you might be paying for right now at a higher rate.
First thing we did when we shopped around was call our current company and say, do you match other quotes? Because first of all, they were that we were shopping around.
Yes.
They were willing to give us the lowest policy possible in order to keep us. But it also let them know, I'm going to call you back and I'm going to say, here's what XYZ company offered. Are you willing to match it? Because believe me, it was a lot easier to stay with the same insurance company than it was to switch to another insurance company.
Housing costs go beyond just your mortgage, your property taxes, and your home insurance. There are many other areas in your budget that will affect your housing.
One of those, for instance, is HOA fees. that also is included in that chunk of your budget that represents your home. You're also going to include your internet. A lot of people include their cell phone bills also in their housing costs, but here's something that beyond everything that we're discussing in this video is the next most expensive area of housing, and that is your utilities. Utility costs have gone up astronomically in the past 24 months or so. And we have found 30 easy, simple ways that we have cut our utility costs despite the fact that utility fees keep going up. We discuss all 30 of those ways to lower your home energy bills in a video, and it's right over there. Watch it next.